She was one of the most powerful women in the city, the kind you see on magazine covers, speaking on tech panels, making headlines for turning startups into giants. Claire Donovan, 34, CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech firms in the country. Fierce in business, unmatched in brilliance, and known for making million-dollar decisions look easy. She was the woman people looked up to. The visionary, the boss, the success story. But on this particular afternoon, in a quiet playground where children laughed, ran, and squealed on swings, Claire felt small. Not because of her job or reputation, but because of the tiny girl sitting silently on the wooden swing next to her. Her 5-year-old daughter, Lily, beautiful and bright-eyed, wearing her favorite white dress with gold buttons, had never spoken a single word in her entire life. Not one. Not hi. Not mama. Not even a whisper in the middle of the night. Claire had tried everything, and she meant everything. She had hired top speech therapists, flew across states to visit specialists, bought entire sets of learning toys, picture cards, interactive devices. She enrolled Lily in programs designed specifically for children with selective mutism. But nothing worked. Some doctors said it might be psychological trauma. Others said it could be neurological. Everyone had a theory, but no one had results. And as each year passed, Claire, the woman who could solve complex business crises in hours, couldn't find a way to unlock a single word from her own daughter. At the office, she was in control. At the playground, she was just a mother holding back tears behind dark sunglasses. Because no title, no salary, no boardroom authority could prepare her for the deafening silence between her and Lily. Claire would spend nights crying silently in bed, wondering if she'd ever hear her little girl laugh out loud. She prayed desperately to hear even just one word, "Mommy." But each day, Lily remained silent but observant. Expressive in her own gentle way, but never verbal. People told Claire to be patient, that it would take time. But patience was hard when you were used to winning. It was hard when the thing you wanted most in the world wasn't up to you, or your power. Still, she never gave up. That afternoon, she sat quietly on the park bench, coffee in hand, watching Lily gently sway on the swing. Her small hands clutched the chains, her gaze was locked on the ground. The playground was filled with noise and life, but Claire felt isolated in a world of worry. And then, just when she'd accepted that this would be another silent day, another afternoon lost in quiet longing, a voice from across the playground disrupted her thoughts. A kind voice. A stranger's voice. What happened next would change everything. Let me know if you'd like the next part, A Stranger on the Swing, expanded as well, or if you want music and visual suggestions for your YouTube video format. It was one of those perfect Saturdays. The sky was painted in soft blue, birds chirped from the nearby trees, and the laughter of children filled the air like music. Claire sat on a wooden bench near the playground, her designer leather bag beside her, phone in hand. She scrolled through emails, half-focused, but her eyes kept darting to the swing set ahead, where Lily, her quiet little girl, gently swayed back and forth. Lily, in her usual silence, grasped the swing's chains tightly. Her white dress fluttered slightly with the breeze, her soft brown hair tucked neatly behind her ears. Her eyes pointed downward, absorbing the motion, lost in her own world. This had become routine. The same swing. The same silence. Claire brought her here every weekend, hoping, just hoping, that one day the laughter of other children might pull her daughter out of the quiet. Then, something new happened. From the far sidewalk, a man entered the park, tall, broad-shouldered, calm. His skin glowed under the summer sun. At his side bounced a little boy, curly-haired and barefoot in the grass, laughing loudly as he pointed to the swings. Claire's glance shifted back to her phone, then did a double-take. The man's expression was different from other parents. He wasn't distracted. He wasn't rushed. He was simply present. His energy was steady, grounding, like someone who didn't just come to the park, but belonged in it. The boy tugged at his hand excitedly, and they made their way to the swing next to Lily. The man crouched down, carefully adjusting the straps on the seat to fit his son. As he pushed him gently, the boy's laughter rose into the air like joy bottled in a sound. Lily glanced over. Just once. Just a moment. But the man noticed. He smiled softly, not the forced kind adults give children out of habit, but the real kind that makes you feel seen. He looked her in the eyes and, in a voice as gentle as the wind, asked, "Hey there. What's your name?" Claire's heart skipped. She instantly placed her phone down and began to rise. Ready to respond, ready to offer the usual apology. She doesn't talk. But before she could speak, she paused. Because something felt different. He didn't speak down to Lily. He didn't use goofy, exaggerated talk. He didn't turn to Claire for answers. Instead, he simply waited, peacefully, as if he wasn't afraid of the silence. There was no pressure, no pity. Just pure, patient kindness. His presence didn't demand attention, but gently welcomed it. Lily looked at him again. Just a second, and then back down. But Claire saw it. That flicker. The smallest shift. Where others had spoken too loudly, tried too hard, or avoided her daughter completely, this man did none of that. He merely showed up, fully, respectfully, with warmth instead of worry. Claire didn't know it yet, but in that one quiet exchange, a door had been opened. And what came next would be something she never expected. Let me know if you'd like the next section, The Moment Time Froze, expanded as well. I can also help match this with background visuals, music suggestions, and voiceover pacing to create the perfect storytelling video. He didn't speak to Lily the way most adults did. No exaggerated questions. No forced smiles. No whispering to Claire like Lily wasn't even there. He spoke to her. Like a friend. Like an equal. His name was Darius. Claire had overheard it casually in a sentence he'd muttered while buckling his son into the swing. And his energy was calm. The kind of calm you don't see often. The kind that quiets even the noisiest thoughts. Darius gently introduced his son. "This is Micah. He's 5. And full of bad ideas." Then, with a soft chuckle, he told a story. Nothing serious. Just a silly moment about how Micah had once filled his shoes with peanut butter to make them walk faster. The detail wasn't perfect. The timing wasn't rehearsed. But it was real. Funny. Like. And something happened. Claire, frozen on the bench only a few feet away, saw it, the smallest thing. Lily smiled. Her lips curled, even if just a little. Her cheeks lifted. It wasn't big, and it wasn't long, but it was unmistakable. It was the first emotion Lily had ever shown in public that resembled joy. Claire's breath caught in her throat. Darius didn't point it out. He didn't make her nervous. He simply glanced at her, gave her a wink, and kept things flowing. After a few minutes of pushing Micah's swing, he came around and crouched next to Lily. He wasn't too close. Not too loud. Just near enough to be heard and felt. He looked at her with soft eyes and said, "You know, Micah used to be scared to talk too. Not because he didn't know how, but because he wasn't always sure someone was actually listening." He paused for a second, took a breath, and added, "I'm listening. If you ever want to tell me something, I'm here." Then nothing. No follow-up question. No expectation. He simply sat beside her swing like a companion, not a fixer. Seconds passed. Claire couldn't blink. Her mouth was slightly open. Her body leaning forward subconsciously. Every atom in her soul was hanging on to the moment like it might slip through her fingers. Lily looked at him. Her hand still gripped the swing, but she tilted her head slightly. Her eyelids fluttered, like she was focused on something very far away, or very deep inside. And then, a sound. So soft, you might miss it if you weren't holding your breath. "Hi." That's all she said. And that was everything. Claire stood up. The world blurred around her. Her heart pounded so loud in her chest it almost hurt. Her hand went to her mouth. Tears rushed to her eyes faster than she could stop them. Her daughter had spoken. For the first time ever. To a complete stranger. A word she'd never heard from Lily before, but had dreamed of for years. And in that tiny sound, a lifetime of silence broke open. All because someone cared enough to simply listen. Claire approached the swing slowly, like someone approaching a delicate painting in a museum, afraid that one wrong move might shatter the magic unfolding before her eyes. Lily sat perfectly still, her face soft, eyes blinking slowly, as if she herself couldn't believe the word had come out. Darius turned slightly, noticing Claire, and smiled. A quiet, knowing smile, the kind you give when you're not surprised, but still deeply moved. "I hope you don't mind," he said gently. "I didn't try to push. I just gave her space." Claire laughed a breathy, tear-filled laugh as she slowly sank onto the bench beside him. "Whatever you did," she whispered, wiping her eyes, "it worked. She's 5, and she's never said a word to anyone. Not even me." The admission felt heavy, but freeing. It was the first time she'd said it without shame, without the defensive tone she normally wore when talking about Lily's silence. Darius nodded slowly. Then he shared his story. About how he had lost his wife unexpectedly in a car accident when Micah was just a baby. How grief almost swallowed them both whole. And how, by the age of 3, Micah still hadn't said much more than a few scattered syllables. "People kept asking what was wrong with him," Darius said. "Doctors, family, even friends. They meant well, but I just knew. He needed time, safety, someone who wouldn't treat him like a test to pass." Micah, he explained, had found his voice not through instruction or intervention, but through emotional safety. Through a presence that didn't judge or expect, just accepted. Claire felt something shift inside her. For years, she had chased solutions. Quick fixes. Specialists, apps, plans. She journaled Lily's silence like a CEO documenting quarterly losses, always looking for what wasn't working, always calculating what needed to be adjusted. But never once had she stopped to ask Lily what she actually felt. She had tried to fix her daughter, not understand her. She turned to Darius with glossy eyes and whispered, "You didn't treat her like a puzzle or a symptom. You treated her like a person." Darius smiled again and nodded. "Kids, they're just like us. They want to feel seen, not studied." For the first time in a long while, Claire didn't feel like she had to be strong or have all the answers. Sitting next to Darius, a complete stranger, she felt understood. Not just as a mother, but as a person. Because Darius hadn't just helped Lily speak. He helped Claire listen, in a way she never had before. And in that one afternoon, he gave them more than any expert or expensive program ever could. He gave them connection, hope, and a way back in. Not through force, but through something far more powerful. Weeks passed, and with each passing day, the echo of that soft little hi in the park grew into something bigger. Lily didn't just speak once, she kept going. Not every moment. Not always confidently. But her voice, once locked in silence, now had permission to exist. Some days she whispered phrases to herself. Other days, she would answer Micah's silly questions with a giggle and a short reply. And every now and then, she would say something that made Claire stop in her tracks, frozen with gratitude. Her words weren't clinical progress. They weren't rehearsed in therapy rooms. They were real, raw, unpolished, beautiful. Darius and Micah became a regular part of their lives, like missing puzzle pieces that had finally been found. Every Sunday afternoon became their time, picnic blankets on the grass, coffee in hand, giggles from the swings. Claire and Darius would watch the kids from the bench, laughing, swapping parenting war stories, and sharing the kind of deep conversation that flowed effortlessly. It began as casual, but quickly deepened. Because under the surface, both of them were carrying the quiet ache of doing life alone, and for the first time in a long time, they didn't feel alone anymore. For Claire, who had built walls around herself as a high-powered CEO, it felt unfamiliar, yet comforting, to have someone see beyond the suit, beyond the schedule, beyond the strength she had worn like armor. With Darius, she wasn't Claire Donovan, tech CEO. She was just Claire, a mom trying her best, figuring it out one day at a time. And Lily blossomed in the glow of stability, softness, and genuine connection. She didn't need timelines. She didn't need pressure. She just needed safety, and the space to grow at her own pace. Then came the moment Claire would never forget. One golden afternoon at the same playground where it had all started, Lily was building a sandcastle with Micah while Claire and Darius chatted nearby. Suddenly, Lily turned around, glowing with innocent pride, and called out, "Mommy, look!" Claire froze. Her breath caught in her throat. It wasn't the first time Lily had spoken, but it was the first time she'd ever said, "Mommy," loud enough for the world to hear, clear enough to shake Claire's soul. Tears welled up, instantly, not just from the word, but because of everything behind it. The patience, the heartbreak, the silence, the stranger at the swing, the slow healing, the quiet companionship that grew into something so much more. She turned to Darius, sitting beside her, smiling at Lily with the same calm warmth he always had. Claire reached for his hand, and for once, she didn't have to say anything, because in that single word, "Mommy," was a lifetime of transformation. And what a team of professionals, doctors, and high-priced programs couldn't do. One human connection had. Sometimes, healing doesn't arrive with answers, but with presence. Not with treatment, but with tenderness. And what started on a swing had quietly become a story of hope, love, and the beautiful courage of starting again.